What's been happening this week? Obviously, probably the first thing we have to talk about is probably the Top G release. Would you not say?
Yeah, that was a surprise. That came out of nowhere. I
Definitely.
saw that in the feed, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." There was no leading up to it, really, or no murmurs about that coming up.
Yeah, it was certainly a bit of a shock, but there were some predictions made by some people. So it's good that he's taking a step forward in the right direction, and getting more of his freedom back. But it's still a bit of a shame that they stole it from him.
My son is off in Australia on vacation with his mom, and I told him Top G got released. He said it was the best news he got.
That's good.
Top G is on South Park too. When they first brought him in the frame, I'm like, "Are they trying to do Andrew Tate there?" And then he came back later in the show, and they gave him a different name, like, "Oh, the Romanian human trafficker." And I was like, "That's pretty funny."
Sorry, did they incorporate him into a South Park episode?
Yeah, he didn't. He only had a few seconds of airtime, though. He was. They were on spring break. Randy wanted a bunch of hoes to come over to have like a real spring break party, and he's like, "Hey, we need more people for the party." And the pimp was Andrew Tate, but they gave him some weird name.
Oh, okay. All right, let's set it up this way. It looks like the widescreen's better. Might be one or two others that pop in too. Looks like Moff's at the gym. So, what else was on the trending this week? Obviously, the biggest news, I guess, Andrew getting house arrest, which seems like shit news, but it's actually better than sitting in a jail cell rotting in a fucking cubicle, right?
God,
Yeah,
that would suck.
I think between him, Trump, and Douglas McKay getting found guilty of making a meme in 2016, I'm not sure if you guys. It just confirms to me about the Matrix. You know, we sounded like conspiracy theorists 2 years ago, and now it's. I don't know if you saw a lady who done something very similar to Douglas McKay. She set up a fake pro-Trump account and told Trump voters to go vote by text. Nothing happened to her, whereas this guy is facing 5 to 10 years in jail for making a meme.
Yeah, rules for thee, not for me. That's how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right. So, whether, no matter where you are aligned politically, the Matrix is there. It protects itself, and it doesn't want people breaking out of the Matrix. And, I told my son, I said, the only reason they went after Andrew Tate was because he was unplugging kids, high school kids like my son, from the Matrix. They need him plugged in.
Yeah, it's. I get it. It's an unfortunate reality of the world today. Is you have to muffle your opinions and ideas because, like 50 years ago, you could say whatever you want in a room. Now, if you say things that they don't like because of the internet and because of amplification, it can spread far and wide. So this is how they handle you.
Well, it started from people getting easily offended, right?
Yeah.
So they don't really.
Yeah, that's where it started.
They don't really have to defend
Just gotta
the
get some
arguments with facts or logic. They just feel offended, and then they can cancel you, or they can punch a Nazi, and suddenly violence is justifiable. And when people widely start to accept that premises, then the state will take advantage of that.
I watched interesting documentary lately that I found on Netflix, and I think I had my VPN on. I think it's on the US Netflix too. Is there a baby there? You guys having a kid, a hero's journey baby?
No, that was my ringtone. Somebody was trying to call me, but
that'll get your attention. But I was watching a doc. I think it was last night that I watched it. It was on Netflix. It's the Abercrombie and Fitch doc, if you remember that brand. And me as a marketing guy, I was like, "Oh, this will be really interesting." And my brother and I worked there a bit in like high school, my first year of college. So I thought, it'll be a throwback. It'll be funny. It was a very interesting brand back in the day for those who remember it. And really at the end of it, all I got, it was obviously a Netflix production. So it was like really littered with kind of woke stuff. And as the doc went on, it became more and more woke. But at the very end, all I realized, like, okay, a bunch of woke, whiny people killed a brand because it targeted a demographic that they didn't agree with. And all these people would come on, they're like, yeah, I'm in charge of like the Asian Comedians Alliance of North America, or, oh, I'm in charge of like black entertainment, whatever. And then they come on like, well, Abercrombie, we don't like them because it targets good-looking young white guys in college. And I was just thinking that's kind of the weirdest thing. I don't really care. I'm a little too old for the brand, anyways. But,
Yeah, but
but then I looked it up, and it looks like every other brand out there now. I'm like, oh, are they still around? Yeah, they are. They're just irrelevant now.
Have you heard,
Ryan Halliday,
Darren?
a big marketer behind that brand?
Yeah,
Oh,
have you heard?
Go ahead.
Have you heard of the brand Fubu? FUBU?
Yeah.
Yep. Forest IU.
Yeah, they're the exact same. I mean, what's wrong with that? People have looks, have different looks.
This isn't for me. I'm like, okay, then don't fucking wear it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Charles is keeping the waistcoat industry alive all on his own.
No
we don't criticize him for it.
It's like, oh, it's for a bunch of preppy young white kids, and then some fat chick with a label down there, like a group she represents that clearly discriminates. I'm like, okay, can't you make your own brand? Do you have to have everything? Do we have to be putting fat people in fit people clothes? And I make this complaint too, because back when I was fat, it was really hard to find clothes. And then once I became fit, I'm like, I actually liked brands like Abercrombie because it was a bit wider in the shoulders and it kind of tighter on the bicep and tapers in on the sides. It's not flowy for like every other brand out there is for fat people. And so I kind of dug the brand for a little bit when I was like 18, 19, because it was a children's brand back in the day. But I was sitting there watching this, trying to remember, and I'm thinking, do you guys have to have everything? Do you have to destroy everything? They're trying to cancel Friends now. I saw in the memes because that's where I get my news. I'm like, Friends, that show is pretty innocuous.
It's today it would be considered too offensive for some people, and even back then, there's some folks that have blamed Friends for the general softening of the West, which is interesting because I saw something this morning where Jennifer Aniston said that they wouldn't be able to do a version of Friends today because it would be too offensive. But there's people that criticize Friends as being one of the pivotal points in history that has softened, the West in such a sense. Because really, the guys in the show, like even Joey, as much of a player he was portrayed to be in the show, wasn't that masculine of a dude. He was still kind of like quirky.
Wet noodles,
like Bart.
Yeah, a little bit like him.
So, but no, Rich. To a serious point, a guy once said, "He who was sober in the nightclub at 2 a.m. is king," and he who was anyway masculine in today's modern society can also be king.
Yeah,
because if we all go back to when we were all plugged in and when we were all trying to, I remember this in the 90s, and you probably remember it too, Rich. The younger guys don't, but this whole new man, there was a new man kind of on the scene who could do cooking and cleaning and all this shit and was just kind of becoming a soft, subservient type of dude, and it was encouraged. And I can remember when we were plugged in, we were all trying to do that because we thought that's what women wanted. And then Chad would come along and just take the women right from under our nose.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.